Nearly 5 years ago, a baby girl was born, and so, as they say, was a mother. From the moment she arrived via emergency C-section delivery, my little girl made it clear that she had her own ideas about how this was going to go. I was told I should sleep when the baby slept. I was ready to do that, and it turned out, though, that this baby wasn't interested in sleeping. At just 3 weeks old, she started going all day, 10 to 12 hours without a nap. At the end of 8 exhausting weeks on maternity leave, it was time for me to return back to my full-time job. Somehow I made it through each day and would finish up my work, eager to get home to spend some time with my little girl. But I'd arrive at daycare and her caregivers would say, oh, she had a really good day, besides the no napping thing. And I would put her in the car, and from the minute she got in the car, she would scream and wail for hours. And I was convinced my baby hated me. So I cried. I cried too. This was not at all how I had imagined it was going to be. I kept waiting to feel better, once she starts sleeping more, or when I stopped nursing. But then those things happened, and I still felt like I was drowning. I loved my baby, but I did not feel like I loved being a mother. I wanted to, I desperately wanted to, but I felt so overwhelmed and like I was doing a terrible job at everything. Finally, I set up an appointment at a postpartum depression clinic. But the few weeks prior to my visit, I started feeling a little better, and so when I got there, I told the psychiatrist, I actually don't think I need to be here. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm actually back to normal. And he said, well, that's interesting because the questionnaire that you completed when you checked in shows that you have mild to moderate depression symptoms. Wait, what? My best is a mild depression? What would have I scored on some of those days that it took everything I had to leave the house, I wondered. As I discussed further my history and my symptoms, it became clear that my perception of my best was distorted by a condition called dysthymia. Dysthymia is a mild chronic depression that can go on sometimes for years before being diagnosed. And people with dysthymia will at times have an acute episode of major depression like the one I had been experiencing. I pulled out old journals and revisited my past years as a reader rather than author, and that gave me insight into the ways that depression had affected my life and my relationships. And it also made me realize that I felt that it was time to change the story. Depression was a reality I had to face, but it did not need to define me. So what could I do? After some consideration and discussion with my treatment team, I decided to try a combination of medication and therapy. Medication helped me in ways I didn't expect. It was like it lifted the cloud that kept me from doing things like going out with friends or taking a yoga class that in turn helped me feel better. Therapy helped me too, helped me know that I was in control of how I thought about things, how I responded to things. I began to feel like I could enjoy myself and really laugh again. At the same time, I explored what it was like to be comfortable with sadness and disappointment, and that I didn't have to try to make those feelings go away. I could feel them without being consumed by them. After a few years of being stable with my symptoms, I felt ready to try for another pregnancy, but I was also very concerned about what that meant for me and our family. Was it safe to stay on medications? Was it safe not to stay on medications? After a lot of consideration and research, I decided that for me, the best option was to stay on my antidepressants while we pursued the goal of adding another baby to our family. In January of 2014, our son was born. And I was reminded what it's like to live with a new baby. It's a little like a whitewater rapid adventure trip. You can't control the river. You have to go with the flow. If you're focused on the fear, you won't enjoy the trip at all. My daughter's first year, I fell into the river, and it took everything I had to survive. The second time around was like a trip down the same unpredictable river, but this time with the knowledge of what to do if I got into trouble, and the support of a trusted team that was by my side. That gave me the opportunity to really enjoy the journey and to be truly present in the precious fleeting moments along the way. For many of us, a crossroad comes when we reach a point that we realize that it's far riskier to stay where we are than it is to make a change. It can be very hard to reach out and say, I can't cope. but in doing so, it brings hope. And so if you're struggling with the weight of depression or other mental health concerns, I urge you to take that brave first step. So I'm so glad that I did. Thank you.